Remember, we indicated, uh, in this chapter that the economy, of course, can experience three states. Okay, uh, so are the labor market. The labor market also, can be in three states. So here, what we're going to do, we're going to discuss the labor market and the three states of the economy. We're going to tie each state of the labor market to a possible state of the economy. So here we can say that, remember, that the economy can be in three states. The labor market can also be in three states. Okay? So here we're going to tie each state of the labor market to a possible state of the economy. Okay? So what are those states of the labor market? Of course, the labor market, the states of the labor market are equilibrium, state, that is, the labor market could be in an equilibrium state, also could be in a shortage state, also it could be in a surplus state. So here we're going to, of course, discuss these states. The labor market, is like the goods and services market. The goods and services market, of course, can be in three states. Could be in an equilibrium state, in a surplus state, or in a shortage state. Same thing, of course, goes with the labor market. So the labor market, with the labor market is in an equilibrium state, then what do we expect? When the labor market is an equilibrium state, then we expect that the quantity supplied of labor is the same as the quantity demand of labor. That is, the same number, of jobs available, that are, people looking for work. That is, the number of people looking for work is equal to the number of jobs available in the market. Therefore, the quantity demanded of labor is equal to the quantity supplied of labor, which means the labor market is in equilibrium. So, the labor market is in an equilibrium state when, when the quantity demanded of labor is the same as the quantity supply of labor. That is, quantity demanded of labor is equal quantity supplied of labor. Okay, this is basically when the economy or when the labor market is in an equilibrium state. Okay, now what about when the economy is in a shortage state? So when the economy when the labor market is in shortage state, when the labor market is in a shortage state, then the quantity demanded of labor is the same is greater than the quantity supplied of labor. That is, quantity demanded of labor, quantity demanded of labor is greater than quantity supplied of labor. Therefore, when the labor market is in a shortage state, then jobs or firms or businesses want more. There are in the market more jobs available than there are people looking for work. That's why we have a shortage in the labor market. When the number of jobs that are available in the economy or in the market is greater than the number of workers looking for work, in that case, the quantity demanded of labor is much greater than the quantity supplied of labor. And in this case, we're going to have, of course, a labor market that is experiencing a shortage. Okay, what about when the economy is in a surplus state? Okay, the third state of the labor market is that when the economy is or has a surplus. Okay, when the labor market has a surplus, then the quantity supplied of labor is greater than the quantity demanded of labor. That is, quantity supplied of labor greater than quantity demanded of labor. Quantity supplied of labor is greater than the quantity of labor. So the labor market is experiencing a surplus or has a surplus when you have more workers looking for work than there are jobs available. In this case, we can say that the labor market has a surplus. Okay, now, as I said, we're going to tie each possible states of the labor market, to a state of the economy. Remember, we mentioned before that, or we identified three states of the economy. We have long-run equilibrium, of course. We have, of course, a recessionary gap state. We have an inflationary gap state. So we're going to, tie each possible states of the labor market to a possible state of the economy. So let's look at the, of course, the, the first state of the economy, okay? Looking, or let's say here, tying each state of the labor market to a possible state of the economy. First state, of course, we're going to say it is a recessionary gap. We're going to see the recessionary gap state and the labor market. Remember, an economy has a recessionary gap state when the real GDP, okay, that is produced in the economy is, less than the natural GDP, okay? So here, let's grab this one here. Graphically, looking graphically at the case. That's what you get here. This is price level, price level. This is real GDP. This is aggregate demand. This is short-term aggregate supply, of course. And this is what you get here, long-run equilibrium. This is long-run aggregate supply over here. This is QN. And this is here, one here, Q1. Q1 is real GDP produced in the economy, of course. Q1 is the real GDP produced in the economy. Q1 is the natural real GDP. Recession gap means Q1 less than Q1. Let the unemployment rate that exists when the economy is producing the natural GDP is called natural unemployment rate. So, the natural unemployment rate is the unemployment rate that exists when the economy is producing Q1. Q1 is the natural real GDP. So the unemployment rate that exists when the economy is producing the natural GDP or the potential GDP, real GDP is called natural unemployment rate. Okay, now look over here. Q1, as you see, is less than Q1. This means that the number of workers that are needed to produce Q1 is less than the number of workers needed to produce Q1 because Q1 is less than Q1. So which implies here less workers are needed. Okay, Q1 less than Q1, which implies less workers are needed to produce Q1 than Q1. Okay, because you have less output, so which implies less workers are needed. This implies that what? The unemployment rate, the expectation is that the unemployment rate that exists at Q1 is higher than the unemployment rate that exists at Q1 because you have less workers. So this implies that the unemployment rate that exists at Q1 is higher than the unemployment rate that exists when producing Q1. Right? Q1. So what that implies about the labor market. So, therefore, the conclusion implies that the labor market is in a surplus, state. Labor market is in a surplus state. Okay, so when the economy is experiencing, a recessionary gap, then we can tie the state of the possible state of the labor market to the possible state of the economy. So when the economy, therefore, is in a recessionary gap, then the labor market is in a surplus or has a surplus. Why? Because the level of unemployment rate that exists when producing Q1, of course, is higher than, of course, the unemployment rate that exists at Q1. Okay, Q1 less than Q1, which implies the unemployment rate that exists at Q1 is higher than the unemployment rate that exists when producing Q1. Therefore, the conclusion implies that the labor market is in a surplus state. Now let's look at the other state of the economy to see, the state, the possible state of the labor market, that is tied to that state. Okay, let me erase over here. Now let's look at this. Let's look at the other state. Okay, inflationary gap. Okay, look, we can see that graphically, of course. Graphically, this is the state. This is the price level. This is real GDP. This is aggregate demand. This is short-term aggregate supply. And this is, of course, the long-run aggregate supply. This is QM, and this is Q1. As you can see, this is, an inflationary gap. This is the second case is an inflationary gap and the labor market. Graphically, as you can see, this is the graph of this state. Now, as you can see here, Q1 is greater than Qn. The economy is producing a level of real GDP that is greater than natural GDP. Okay? The unemployment rate that exists when the economy produces Qn is the natural real GDP. Okay? Now, Q1, the real GDP that the economy is producing is greater than the level of the natural GDP. Okay? The unemployment rate that exists when the economy produces Qn is the natural unemployment rate. Is the natural unemployment rate. Okay, so as you can see over here, since Q1 is greater than Qn, then the number of workers needed to produce Q1, of course, is higher than the number of workers needed to produce Qn. Number since Q1 greater than Qn, then the number of workers that are needed to produce Q1 is higher than or is greater than the number of workers producing Q1. What that implies. So reducing Q1, we have more workers that who are producing Q1 than than there are workers producing Q1. Therefore, the expectation is that the unemployment rate, which implies the unemployment rate that exists at Q1 is lower than the natural unemployment rate. What that means, if the unemployment rate that exists when reducing Q1 is, of course, less than or lower than the unemployment rate that exists at Q1, which is the natural unemployment rate, this implies what we conclude about the labor market. This implies, of course, therefore, the conclusion is that the labor market is in a shortage shortage. What that means, shortage. A labor market has a shortage when the quantity demand of labor is greater than the quantity supply of labor. That means more workers or more jobs are available than there are workers looking for work. So, which implies that the conclusion is that the labor market is in a shortage. Now, let's look at of course, the third state of the economy, of course, and it is relation to the labor market. And the third state is, of course, the long-run equilibrium. Long-run equilibrium and the labor market. Of course, graphically, of course, we can have this. This is real GDP, and this is the price level. Price level, real GDP, and this is the graph of this aggregate demand, short run, aggregate supply, and this is over here, long run aggregate supply. Long run aggregate supply. This is Q1 equal Qn. Okay. Notice over here, when we say that the economy is in long run equilibrium, that means the quantity demand of goods is equal to the quantity of goods, which is equal to the national GDP. Okay, so Q1, the real GDP that is the economy produces is the same as the national GDP. So in this case, of course, the unemployment rate that exists is the same as the natural unemployment rate. So here, in this state, Q1 is equal to Qn, which implies unemployment rate in the economy is equal to the natural unemployment rate. So this means that the economy, of course, what about the labor market? Here the economy, the quantity of real GDP that is produced in the economy is the same as the natural GDP, which implies that the unemployment rate is the same as the natural unemployment rate. The unemployment rate that exists when the economy is producing QM. Therefore, what is the conclusion that we could have in this situation over here? Of course, the conclusion implies that the labor market is in an equilibrium state. What that means, which implies, this implies that the labor market experiences neither a shortage nor a surplus.